Alright, so we have some quick Stadia news to talk about today, as I feel today's news was worth its own video, as I have plenty to touch on with today's topics. And while Stadia themselves so far has been pretty quiet this week, I expect the news to come out in the next days and weeks to get pretty big, so no video is too small. With that said, we got some news on a new game coming to Stadia. Valhalla gets an earlier release date, and 120 FPS talks on Stadia are yet again happening, this time from a developer who recently released a title, and I have quite a few things to say on that. So with that said, please hit that like button to help us find more Stadians out there who can discover this channel, and smash that subscribe button if you're brand new and you're looking for daily Stadia and cloud gaming content. Let's start this video with the news of Assassin's Creed Valhalla getting pushed further up on its release date, and this was done to match the recent announcements of the Xbox Series X launch date, as the game and the new console will come at the same time. As for the rest of us though, it looks as we're all getting the benefit from that, as it's coming November 10th for Stadia. Either way, this is great news, as this now goes ahead and gives us a bit more time of a cushion from game to game to really give us that time we need to dive into each of these big AAA titles that we're getting here in the coming weeks. Like always, I'll be covering this, so stay tuned on the channel. So a new game has appeared with the Stadia logo at the end of their trailer from THQ Nordic and Gunfire Games, the makers of Remnant from the Ashes, and information on this game is extremely scarce, despite the fact that it's set to come December 1st, with some speculating that it could actually be the prequel to Remnant from the Ashes. With that said, I did some further digging, and I managed to find this description from when the game was rated some time ago on the ESRB. Chronos Before the Ashes will place players in the shoes of a fighter who must protect a land plagued by evil. While exploring the third-person action RPG, players will navigate an ancient labyrinth filled with beasts of fantastical origin. These creatures include the likes of goblins, minotaurs, stone monsters, all of which can be fought off with weapons such as clubs, swords, and spears. Unfortunately, there's no gameplay or more information outside of this, but I'll keep you guys updated in the weeks and months ahead before the release. And I think this could be a good one, especially if it is a prequel to an awesome game like Remnant from the Ashes. So I'll be looking forward to the later announcement of this title. And last but certainly not least in today's video, this information right here got me pretty excited yet again, because I recently covered how Stadia has in its plans to run 8K 120 FPS sometime down the line. But with FDG Entertainment announcing an update of rolling out 4K 120 FPS to next-gen consoles, someone went ahead and asked them in return, well, what the heck about Stadia? And much to my surprise, according to FDG Entertainment, the developers of Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom, they were able to achieve higher frame rates on Stadia tech, to the point where 120 FPS would be no problem, and it's just a matter of Google putting out the update so they can do so according to FDG. Now guys, I have a few thoughts on this, starting with of course my number one question. Was this done with the dev kit with Gen 1 or Gen 2 hardware? Unfortunately, that's not something that I think we're gonna find out anytime soon, as it is rumored that there is a more powerful Stadia hardware that is being rolled out behind the scenes, but we've gotten no official word of that, outside of them promoting 8K 120 FPS at some point down the line. But obviously guys, this begs quite a few questions. If the current hardware can actually handle higher frame rates per second, whichever hardware that actually is, what is the holdup not giving the option for these developers to give us 120 FPS on games right now? To me, this would be pretty huge, because any form of perceived latency issues that some might have, having higher frame rates would only help reduce that problem, thus selling this platform even easier. Is this possibly tied to maybe Sabrina or some form of other hardware? Or are these rollouts for higher FPS something we might not see until more next-gen titles are being developed? Overall, this is a mystery, and one that has me leaving slightly baffled, as I would absolutely jump for joy at playing any of these games at higher frame rates. And honestly guys, my personal preference is to actually have higher frame rates than I would ever care about having 8K, Give me 1080 1440p with 120 frames and I am happy for many, many years to come. I'm not a tech guy, so I'm not sure if this is something that is just beyond my scope, and it's something that I can't even try to speculate. But either way, let's hope that we hear more about this in the coming months, and we hear something sooner rather than later. But alright guys, that's it for today's Stadia news. Like always, if you have any thoughts on today's news video, please let me know. Guys, I do read all your comments, even if I'm unable to respond. Also, hit that like button if you haven't already, and make sure you join me every Saturday for my Stadia community live streams. Like always, I'm Sunny, and I'll see you guys in the cloud.